Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game scheduled for Monday, June 12th, 2023. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below, and if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Atlanta Braves taking on the Detroit Tigers. Charlie Morton going for Atlanta. No official starter for the Tigers right now. And Charlie Morton at Truist Park this season owns a 4.64 ERA, but away from home, a 3.22 ERA in 36 and a third innings with 36 strikeouts and only one home run allowed. And last year was actually the opposite. Charlie Morton pitched a lot better at Truist Park and struggled a bit on the road. But you got to look at Charlie Morton's game logs and see the teams that he's faced this season. He's in a really tough strength of schedule. Whether he has faced a team with a winning record this year, a team with good numbers against right-handed pitchers this year, or just a team with a winning playoff team from last year, teams like the Phillies and Mets. He's faced the Mets, the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Red Sox, the Mets again, and the Marlins dating back to April 25th. So really, this is one of the easier spots he's had this season against a Tigers team that we know is struggling this year against right-handed pitchers. Now, they do play a lot better at Comerica Park, but still, I don't love this matchup for Detroit against Morton. I think Morton pitches well, gives the Braves 5-6 strong innings. I think the Braves lineup's going to back him up as well. So give me the Atlanta Braves here on the run line. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Boston Red Sox. Connor Seabold and James Paxton are your projected starters. Don't love this spot at all for the Colorado Rockies, as not only do they have to face a lefty in James Paxton, as the Rockies have struggled against lefties this year. Paxton has a sub-4 ERA this season. Even better numbers at Fenway Park so far with a 2.7 ERA in his first 10 innings with 17 strikeouts at home. He's also coming off a great start against the Guardians, where he struggled early on, but managed to give the Red Sox 7 innings of 2-run ball, keep him in that ball game, and the Red Sox went on to win that one 5-4. He had 9 strikeouts in that game against a Guardians team that does not strike out much. So not only do the Rockies have to face him, but they also are playing this game on the road with no days off in between their Coors Field series against the San Diego Padres. So going from Coors to Fenway Park, I do expect some sluggish bats, to begin with for the Rockies. Now you have to face a lefty. Just a really tough spot to be in offensively. You got a bullpen game going with Connor Seabold as the opener/starter. He's been able to pitch deeper into ball games, but I still don't like his chances. Give me the Boston Red Sox here on the run line. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Logan Webb and Jack Flaherty are your starters. This is an interesting spot here because Logan Webb not really in the best of form going into this outing. He had a quality start against the Orioles back on June 2nd, but it was not enough for a win. He gave up a home run in that game, and then the next start against the Rockies, 5 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 8 base hits, a homer again, and only 3 strikeouts. And I know that was at Coors Field, but I don't love the fact that his strikeout number's not the best in the last couple of games. And the St. Louis Cardinals have been a very tough lineup to face as a right-handed pitcher, really the last couple of months, but in the last 30 days especially, where they're third in WRC+. So I don't love this spot for Logan Webb. The Giants' bats were kind of inconsistent this weekend. Jack Flaherty starting to make some improvements. I do think the Cardinals take this game, so I'm going to take St. Louis, especially as the home team here, on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Texas Rangers. Tyler Anderson and Dane Dunning are your projected starters. Dane Dunning, I mentioned that there were some regression concerns in his game after a really good start to the season. We're starting to see that now. His last start against the Cardinals, 5 2/3 innings, gave up 7 base hits, 4 earned runs, and 3 home runs in that game. That's the most concerning part of that outing. Also, only 1 strikeout in those 5 2/3. But the Rangers still went on to win that game 6-4. Goes to show you how strong this Rangers lineup has been, especially when they're playing at Globe Life Field. And I do expect the Rangers bats to show up again in this one and back up Dane Dunning. Tyler Anderson's got a 5.62 ERA, which is already very steep, but his expected numbers don't really look too much better. I mean, a 5.04 expected ERA is a little bit better, but a 5.97 xFIP suggests there may even be more regression in his game, as his strikeout to walk ratio has been miserable this season. The Rangers have hit lefties very well this year in the last 30 days as well. Texas is third in baseball in team OPS against those lefties, top 10 in isolated power as well, and number 2 in WRC+. So I expect the Rangers bats to be there, but I also think the Angels will be able to get the Dane Dunning, a team that hits righties well. Dunning's starting to regress himself. Give me the over here in what should be a very high-scoring AL West battle. Next up, we go to Kauffman Stadium as the Cincinnati Reds take on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Luke Weaver and Zach Greinke on the mound in this one. Now, we mention all the time the home and road splits for Zack Greinke. We mentioned it last year where he had a sub-2 ERA at home and a terrible ERA away from home. This season, similarly, 33 and 2/3 innings away from Kauffman Stadium. Greinke's got a 6.15 ERA and an 0-4 record. But at home this year, 33 innings of work, a lower opponent's batting average, 3 home runs allowed compared to 8 on the road, and a solid 3.00 ERA. So Greinke's been backable when he's pitching at Kauffman Stadium. Facing a Reds team, it's certainly improving offensively, but still is below average in WRC plus against righties in the last 30 days. So I do think Greinke pitches well in this game, and I also think the the Royals bats are going to back him up, as Luke Weaver is a guy that gives up a lot of sharp contact and a lot of home runs. We know the Royals, their numbers aren't the best on paper in terms of runs scored per game. This is still a team that, when you look at the average exit velocity and hard hit percentage, does make a lot of sharp contact. So I do think at home this is going to benefit them facing a pitcher like Luke Weaver. We may see a ton of strikeouts from the Royals, but I do think they'll hit a couple of homers in this game on Weaver, and that should be enough for a win. We saw Weaver give up 7 earned runs in his last start against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Give me the Kansas City Royals here on the money line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Seattle Mariners. Bryce Miller and Jesus Luzardo are your starters. To me, this looks like a close game and a pretty close series overall, as you get Jesus Luzardo and Bryce Miller, not really my favorite starting pitching options. Miller's not in the best of form going into the start, while Luzardo has really struggled away from Lone Depot Park with a 5.13 ERA, giving up a lot of sharp contact on the road. The Mariners' numbers against lefties in the last 30 days, they're number 8 in baseball in WRC+, so they're really making improvements. But the Marlins also top 10 in baseball against righties in WRC+, in the last month or so. So you can kind of cancel that out a little bit. The Marlins bullpen has the better ERA in the last 30 days, but the Mariners bullpen has the better expected numbers, xFIP and Sierra, in the last month. So for me, this looks like a close game, but I do think with the Marlins having to go from Chicago to Seattle, while the Mariners get to stay in that West Coast area, the Mariners are the home team here. I'm going to give them the slight edge, so I'm going to take the Seattle Mariners here on the money line in a very slight lean. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks hosting the Philadelphia Phillies with Tommy Henry on the mound for Arizona. No official starter for the Phillies right now. Back in 2022, we saw Tommy Henry face this Phillies lineup back at Chase Field. It was a game on August 31st, and it was a really rough start for Tommy Henry. He only went 4 innings in that game. He had 4 strikeouts, but he had 4 walks allowed, 8 base hits, and 7 earned runs, and an 18-2 Phillies win in that game. The Phillies' numbers are starting to slowly improve against lefties. Their power numbers are already there. They're top 6 in baseball in isolated power against lefties in the last 30 days. But their OPS and WRC plus numbers starting to improve a little bit. Those strikeout numbers are also starting to decrease a little bit. So I know Tommy Henry has pitched better at home than he has on the road this season, but that was not the case last year against these Phillies. And I do think they'll be able to get to him for a few runs early on in this game. So I'm going to take the team total over in the first 5 for the Philadelphia Phillies. And the final game for Monday's card in Major League Baseball is the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland Athletics. Zach Eflin and James Kaprielian are your starters. Now, there's not a lot of value in this game. The Rays are huge favorites. It makes sense. They're the best team in baseball. They're facing the worst team in baseball. James Kaprielian on the other side's got a 7.21 ERA and a 1-6 record. To me, it's Rays run line or pass. You could lay 2.5 runs if you wanted. A game that I'm staying away from because there's just no value in this one at all. Zach Eflin's hasn't really pitched well away from home, which is one of the concerns I would have backing Tampa Bay, as he's been much better at Tropicana Field, where he's got a sub-2 ERA compared to a ERA above 5 away from Tropicana Field. But the Rays still have the much better lineup and the better bullpen as well. So they should win this game, and they should win it pretty convincingly. But like I said, with this big of favorites on the money line, there's just no value in a game like this. So Tampa Bay Rays on the run line for me, but a game I'm staying away from. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.